Beautiful thing right now.
Rise and shine, it's a beautiful day.
I am alright.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to white light.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
It's crazy evil.
Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the Morning Dump. I am your host, Jose Galison. It's August 15th, Friday. It's a beautiful morning. I didn't get a run in today. I've had to shift up my schedule. I was able to work out though, so I'm just going to have to shift things around. I think it's for me just a difference if I just kind of cut my workout just a tiny bit shorter. Audio, man, give me a second. Give me one. I know exactly what it is. Boom, there you go. Problem solved. Sounds good. Sounds good, right? Is sound better? Is sound better? Sound better, right? Sound is better. Someone tell me sounds good. L audio, someone said? Is it not back yet? Up, can't hear shit. Are you messing with me now? I swear it's good now. Is it still bad? Okay, now they're saying better. Now they're saying my bad. That's my fault, actually. Yeah, usually... It's supposed to default to the normal mic you use, but whatever. That was my fault. I always double check, but this is today for some reason. I just forgot to double check to make sure it was on the correct setting. What do you do? What do you do? Whatever. Here we are. I guess start that over. Hey, what's up, guys? No Way Jose podcast, Morning Dump. It's August 15th. It's a beautiful Friday morning. It's a little overcast actually now, but I got a workout in, didn't get a run, so I've had to cut my workout a little bit, or cut my workout in the morning a little bit shorter. Maybe I'll have to move my run to a different time of the day or something, but with the kids going back to school, things are different. But it's good to be back with you all today. We have a few things to go through, a few things of interest. While we wait for more people to roll up in the chat. Ooh, I see Tyler in the chat. It's been a while, that's probably a function of me being a little bit later than normal, which I guess, sorry, sort of. Things are a little bit hectic in the Jose household right now, so it is what it is. Kind of get in when I can. Within a few days, it should straighten up pretty quickly. But between school starting up, had kiddies, getting back from vacation, everything's just kind of all up in jumble. So things will get straightened out as get more into a routine. But things are a little bit wacky right now. But whatever. The world is wacky, so it fits. Ooh, Tyler's on vacation. Cool. All right, guys. Well, we wait for more of y'all to roll in. Let's take a minute and take it back. Let's go through. God damn it! I'm trying to find the right tab. Here we go. Let's do our normal morning video. While we wait for everybody to show up. I thought this was particularly interesting. It looks like there's going to be another part. There's going to be a part 2 for a Hunter Biden interview. Funny enough, I never saw the first one. So this is the guy from All Gas No Brakes. I've never watched a full. I guess he does full length interviews now with big people. I don't know enough about this guy. I did watch a few of his videos back in the All Gas No Brakes days, and those were pretty goddamn funny. He was an enjoyable guy. I like his shtick, whatever it is he's doing. I don't know enough of him to have a fully informed, but seems kind of moderately funny, interesting take on interviews. And I guess he somehow landed a Hunter Biden interview, which we've talked about that recently. And I guess he's doing a part 2. And I guess as a result of that interview, Melania Trump threatened Hunter with a $1 billion lawsuit. So this is kind of the response. And it's also kind of a promo from this guy. I forget the name of the guy. I don't even know the name of the interviews or whatever. I haven't checked out this. Frankly, I'll be honest, I'm not even all that... I guess maybe one of these days I'll be like, oh yeah, check out the Hunter Biden interview. But I'm not like that interested. I mean, maybe if any of you guys have checked it out, let me know. Is there anything that crazy that's worthwhile for me to check out? I mean, it seems like it'd be something that'd be moderately kind of funny, but obviously he's just going to cope for the Biden family and maybe say some moderately surprising things. So I don't know. But either way, I thought this was interesting, so let's watch this together.
Ladies and gentlemen, the day of presidential litigation has arrived. It's lawsuit time. In my hand is a legal demand letter addressed to Mr. Hunter Biden from the First Lady of the United States, demanding a retraction of Channel 5's video called Hunter Biden Returns, in which Mr. Biden here makes some speculative comments about the relationship between Jeffrey Epstein, Melania Trump, and Donald Trump.
Okay, well, they knew each other well. They spent an enormous time together. According to his biographer, is that Jeffrey Epstein introduced Melania. That's how Melania and the First Lady and the president met.
Really?
Yeah.
Epstein made the intro.
Yeah, according to Michael Wolff.
Yeah.
And so I only can go by what people are saying.
Back up, especially for the listeners, and I also even guys for the audio, for the guys who not audio, but for the watchers, the dumplings out there. I just said because it really sped through that. You can see right here. Here's an excerpt. It's explosives tapes recorded by author Michael Wolff. Shows Epstein claiming Trump to fuck his friends, wives, and first slept with Melania on the Lolita Express. So I know some people do have concerns about to what degree you trust Michael Wolff, but I'm pretty sure these are from recordings. So even though he says right there, explosive tapes recorded. So. I mean, now why? He hasn't released them yet, so I mean, I don't know. I feel like we've been getting teased these for years. So, but anyways, it goes on. It says Jeffrey Epstein described himself as Donald Trump's closest friend and claimed intimate knowledge of his proclivity for sex, including cuckolding his best friends, according to recordings obtained exclusively by the Daily Beast. Yeah, I'm gonna have to hunt this down, but I swear there's a source on I don't know if it was Epstein or who the claimant is here. That essentially, they shared a girlfriend, essentially. So, anyways, the convicted pedophile even boasted of his closeness to Trump and his now wife Melania by claiming the first time he slept with her was on my plane. It was dubbed the Lolita Express. He spoke at length about Trump with Wolff in August 2017, 2 years before being found dead in his jail cell. Wolff was researching his bombshell bestseller, something in Fury at the time, Fire and Fury. So it seems to me that 2017 has been 8 years. I mean, that seems a ridiculous amount of time to not just release this shit already, but whatever. All right, let's keep going.
I only can go by what people are saying, and I don't know.
He didn't make these claims out of nowhere. They come from another journalist named Michael Wolff, who is a biographer that actually spoke to Jeffrey Epstein. But now here we are, and I've got $1 billion document in my hands because Mrs. Trump is seeking $1 billion in damages if we don't take the video down, and if Hunter here doesn't issue a formal apology to Mrs. Trump. So now we're here, maybe to give you the platform to apologize to the First Lady for your statements that you made about her possible connection to Jeffrey Epstein.
Fuck that. That's not going to happen.
Okay, I guess the show's literally called Channel 5, I think is the name of the podcast, or whatever it is. So, but either way, yeah, interesting, I guess. But just thought that was cool. Just an interesting little snippet that he's being sued by, or Melania is pretending to sue, or whatever the hell is going on there. And that is his response. Man, they're doing a really good job of making Hunter Biden likable these days, and that is concerning. All right, let's take a moment to say our good mornings. Good morning, Evan. He says, finally got to the live. Hell yeah. He says, what the fuck is XP on chat? I don't know. I don't entirely understand this, but I've noticed that too on YouTube live chats. It's something, they've created some sort of like currency system or something. I don't even know what you get. It seems like a whose line is it anyways type of points system. Then that it doesn't matter, and it's just kind of dopamine hits, I guess. But I think you guys get to essentially compete for who's the biggest ball grabbler of me or whatever. I don't know. It's weird. I mean, obviously I'm being silly. I mean, interact with me, please. But my point being, it is weird to put it in that way, to then put like literal metrics on it of like who's the best little dumpling. I don't know. We're gonna take tallies at the end of the month, and we will shame you if you're not a good little dumpling. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. I don't really understand what the hell it is. It seems like a silly system to me, but whatever. It's a thing they're trying out. I think you might even be able to become a moderator. I don't fully understand stuff. I'm a tech retard. Good morning, Boomer Sooner. Good morning, Andrew Jacobs. Good morning, Boomer. Damn, Boomer doubled up. Good morning, everybody. Here's everyone talking about the audio. Yes, I know, Adrian. The audio's fucked up. We fixed it. Good morning, Adrian. Good morning, Noname. Good morning, Vanilla Gorilla. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Bobo. Good morning, William Miller. Good morning, Tyler. Good morning, Pollo. Good morning, No Hablo. Good morning, King David. Is this game I work out in and listening? Hell yeah, dude. And then Bobo's commenting on the All Gas No Brakes guy. Says he's good in my opinion. I listened to him when I was moving to Texas in the U-Haul. Okay. We learned how to cook crack in the first one. Are we getting a meth lesson now? Yeah, that was funny. I will say, so far as like the Hunter one, I haven't been interested in like this Hunter, the past interview, and this one that I guess is coming up. I'm not particularly interested in the previous one or the one coming up in the context of like wanting to watch the full context, like the full podcast and like to get the complete context. But now, like, clips online, pretty freaking great. There were some great clips going around. So I am looking forward. I think there probably will be, I would assume there'll be one or two good clips going around. So keep an eye out for that, and we may even cover that on the show. Boomer Sooner says, if you don't share, you don't care. That's true. Everyone, go share this around and prove that you care. Prove it to me. Good morning, Alien Big Hat. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning, Tucker Delay. Says I'm using double XP tokens, whatever that means. Okay, let's get into some foreign policy. The latest, Smotrich announces a major West Bank settlement expansion to bury the idea of a Palestinian state. I know they've been doing this They've been doing an expansion for a while, anyways. So. I mean, I guess announcing further expansion. So, I mean, it's just kind of more of the same in a certain sense, but just getting worse. Really, this is kind of, I mean, obviously it's showing that things are getting worse, but let's be real. This is also just kind of more, I almost say quote mining. That's not the right, but like these are valuable quotes. These are, look, this is the finance minister. This is a crazy thing he's saying. And then in conjunction with actual political action that they are carrying out. So here we go. He goes, the Israeli government is moving forward with a plan for the massive expansion of illegal Jewish settlements in the Israeli-occupied West Bank that would cut off the northern part of the Palestinian territory from its southern regions. A plan Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich said will bury the idea of a Palestinian state. So he also holds a position in the defense ministry that allows him to expand settlements, announced that he plans to approve the construction of 3,401 housing units for the controversial E1 settlement project, which has been frozen for decades due to international opposition. They will talk about a Palestinian dream. Now, this is in quotes. And we will continue to build a Jewish reality, Smotrich said at a press conference at the site of the planned construction. Now, this is really fucked up. This reality is what will permanently bury the idea of a Palestinian state, because there is nothing to recognize and no one to recognize. So it's just kind of further sinister language. In an earlier statement, he said, after decades of international pressure and freezes, we are breaking conventions and connecting Ma'ale Adumimim to Jerusalem. This is Zionism at its best, building, settling, and strengthening our sovereignty in the land of Israel. So just more of the same, like I said, but just kind of, once again, I don't know, while we're being gaslit by the world of like, oh, no, nothing's going on here, and they're kind of openly announcing everything they're doing. Kind of sometimes saying it without saying it, and sometimes just straight up saying it. So, more on that. We have Israeli forces killed 50 Palestinians in Gaza over the past 24 hours, which weirdly is an improvement. I don't know what's going on there. So, yeah, that's the current. I mean, hopefully this trend continues in that way. Although I don't think that's the case, considering this has been a one-day fluke, and what we've been going weeks and weeks of just, in the, at least around 100 or more for a while. We had a good stretch where it was like well over 100 every single day. So, but I mean, I guess at a certain point, I know you start running out of people. So, but that is the current death tally for the day. Now, a little bit more hopeful news. Apparently, the rumor going around is that I guess Putin seems to think that there's some hope here. Is the rumor going around? So this is from Dave DeCamp over antiwar.com. Says ahead of Alaska summit, Putin says Trump making sincere effort toward ending Ukraine war. So maybe we could actually see something there. As I said yesterday, by God, do these people need a W with everything else going on? I mean, are you really going to try to sell us on like one of the most insane genocides of our time in conjunction with, oh yeah, and I'm going to run cover for allowing me and my buddies and all the people that rule over this country to fuck your children? You'd think they would at least squeeze in there, oh, we'll end this like super, like way past its due date or end date war. You'd think they would have done that by now. But so once again, I mean, fingers crossed, that would be cool. But anyways, Putin said on Thursday the Trump administration was making sincere efforts toward ending the war in Ukraine. Comments that came a day before the two leaders hold an highly anticipated summit in the U.S. state of Alaska. Obviously, that is today. I haven't seen any news yet. I'm not sure exactly what time it'll start. But I don't know. Keep an eye on your social media or whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some interesting news today. I don't know. Probably nothing too crazy, I would assume. But anyways, the current administration is making, in my opinion, quite energetic and sincere efforts to stop the hostilities, stop the crisis, and reach agreements that are of interest to all parties involved in this conflict, Putin said. All right, well, that's encouraging. The Russian leader also suggested that the U.S. and Russia could make progress on arms control if the talks go well, saying that in the next stages of discussions with the U.S., we reach agreements in the area of control over strategic offensive weapons. Arms control between the U.S. and Russia has crumbled in recent years, and Moscow recently announced that it was no longer bound by a moratorium on the deployment of missiles previously banned by the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, that's the INF, which the U.S. withdrew from in 2019. Russia said it took the step in response to U.S. deployments of missile systems once banned by the INF. The last remaining nuclear arms control treaty between the U.S. and Russia is the New START, which limits the number of nuclear warheads and launchers that either side can have deployed. Russia technically suspended its participation in the treaty in 2023, but both the U.S. and Russia continue to abide by the limits set by the treaty. So far, there's been no work to negotiate a placement for the New START, which expires in February 2026. A de-escalation in Ukraine is likely required for any progress on arms control, and it remains unclear if a deal can be reached. Trump said on Thursday there's about a 75% chance that the meeting will be successful. The White House described the summit as a feel-out meeting. This has been something Trump's been kind of throwing around, this idea that, like, oh, I'll know in a few minutes if, this is legit or not. So we're trusting his deal-making abilities here, I guess. Trump has said the plan is to get Russia's terms for a peace deal and convey them to Ukraine and its European backers. Russia has reportedly offered to end the war if Ukraine withdraws from the territory it controls in the eastern Donetsk Oblast, and the front lines are frozen, a climb down from Russia's previous demand for a full Ukrainian withdrawal from Kherson and Zaporozhye. Holy shit. Zaporozhye. Okay, that's a fun word. All right. And then according to a report from Politico, Ukraine's conditions include keeping the territory it controls, Russia paying for damages in Ukraine, and a security guarantee similar to NATO membership, which are all non-starters for Moscow. So although I think we covered a little bit yesterday, it seems to me that I think Ukraine has climbed down a little bit from some of their requests, but they still seem to be a little bit in an unrealistic position. So, but who knows? It seems like it seems all parties seeming to be giving some sort of concessions, it seems, to some degree, which seems a good sign. Like, obviously, these people don't want to signal that they're willing to give up everything because they don't want to give up everything. So, but it shows to me, it looks, I don't know. I don't want to get my hopes up. But once again, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to like, just as I kind of, ranted a little bit at the beginning, it's kind of well past the due date for this thing to be over, like by a long fucking time. But like I remember in the Biden administration, this was dragging on. You're like, what is going on here? This is ridiculous. This is just dragging on. It's just a suspended, conflict. And, but I don't know. So once again, way past, that was also like sort of what was implied, like, oh, well, we'll probably end this war with Trump. So I don't know. Once again, hopefully something cool comes to this. All right. Another interesting story we're getting, I guess, deployments of air and naval forces to the Southern Caribbean. Now, it looks like this could be tied a little bit into the Venezuela stuff. That could be something of concern. Let's get into this. The Trump administration has ordered the deployment of U.S. air and naval forces to the Southern Caribbean Sea to address threats from Latin American drug cartels, Reuters reported on Thursday, citing two sources briefed on the decision. The report didn't specify what sort of action the U.S. forces may take in the Southern Caribbean, but the news comes about a week after the New York Times reported that President Trump secretly signed a directive to the Pentagon to begin using military force against Latin American cartels, including operations on foreign soil. Now, are you connecting the dots now? Remember how the accusations, we covered this recently with Maduro, where that he's trafficking drugs over there. Essentially, he's part of it. Which I don't know, maybe he is. I'm open to the idea, and that they wanted it was a $50 million reward for stuff any information that leads to his arrest or something. So the Trump administration has also listed several Latin American cartels and gangs, especially designated global terrorists, including MS-13, Tren de Aragua, Cartel de Sinaloa, and Cartel de Los Soles. The U.S. also claims that Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro is a leader of Cartel de Los Soles, meaning the Trump administration may use the action against cartels as a pretext for another regime change effort in Caracas. Placing U.S. military assets in the Southern Caribbean puts them in a position for potential military action against Venezuela. Now, I will say my Southern American political or geopolitics is a little bit rusty, but I for one, Venezuela is one of these South American countries they've had their eyes on for a long time. Like, I remember, I believe it was back in damn near, what was it, even the fucking... I swear I remember all the way back in the Obama administration, just there was always something, with Venezuela. Now I don't know the specifics of why, and I'm not at all saying I am an advocate for Venezuela's government, but point being is we've clearly had their eye on them for decades for whatever reason. And maybe geopolitics might make me more learned on the subject in the near future, unfortunately. But yeah, this has been a target for a little while. This is nothing new. I think even in the first Trump administration, I think at one point they were making some sort of effort to essentially, whether it was regime change or just hostilities in the region or whatever. And I swear, it's very vague, I swear that was one of the times when he gave one of his answers, and I swear that was one of the times people asked him, and it was I don't think he said it was, I think he said something it was literally for the oil or something. He literally made some statement about oh yeah, if we do this would be really great for all the oil or something. I forget the specifics. I probably shouldn't even mention it because it's so vague. But just the point being is that this has been going on for forever, and I thought it was particularly unique. And that I swear this is one of those conflicts that Trump kind of said the quiet part out loud. And this is one point a lot of people make with him is that that's what he's done for a long time. Is he just sometimes just says the quiet part out loud, oh yeah, we'll get all the oil money from this conflict or this thing, and you're the stuff that you're oh, all the conspiracy theorists were saying this before, and now you're just just nakedly being yeah, we should do that, and you're whoa. I'm pretty sure Venezuela was that, if I recall correctly, and it is kind of seeing in hell, even then add in all the language. With the Trump administration first coming in, especially right off the jump, a lot of the talk about the cartels and even implications of drone strikes and such. And I think a lot of us were focused on Mexico, but maybe we should have been thinking a little bit wider than that. I think there might be something to that. Anyways, I'm rambling a little bit. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, staunch supporter of the previous failed regime change attempt in Venezuela, announced last week the U.S. was raising the bounty on Maduro's head to $50 million over claims that he's violating U.S. narcotics laws. The administration has provided no evidence to back up its claims about Maduro's alleged involvement in drug trafficking. Trump administration has also said that Maduro was linked to Mexico's Sinaloa cartel, but Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has denied the claim and said the statements from the U.S. were the first time she heard the allegation. On Mexico's part, there's no investigation that has to do with that, she told reporters last week. As we always say, if they have some evidence, show it. We do not have any proof. And then on that, I meant to cover this yesterday, but I thought it was kind of funny in this tale of Trump versus Maduro. We had the latest where where I just talked about with how they put that 50 million bounty on Maduro for information leading to his arrest, and how Maduro responded was by putting a $50 million reward for unreleased Epstein files. So, hey, if anyone's got any of that out there, you can make $50 million, and I hope people do take him up on that. That would be great. But, whatever. A pretty great troll on Maduro's part. Making me like the guy a little bit. I don't know enough about him to like him or hate him, but, yeah. And actually, he's an interesting little thread that kind of backs up, I guess, I found this just kind of, for the 50 million for the Epstein thing, but I guess looking at this now, there's a little bit of a recap too. I guess this is from the 11th, so 4 days ago. It says he put a 50 million bounty on Venezuela's president. He said he flooded America with fentanyl. Never mind. I'm not going to recap all that. We went all over that. Anything. I thought maybe there were some videos and stuff, but we don't need to rehash all that. With that, guys, let's go to the chat. Check in with you guys. And then we'll get into the main topics. Let's check in with y'all. All right. All right. Who else we gotta go? Eddie Graham. There we go. Eddie says Argentina was getting rich in the 70s from oil. It was becoming pretty prosperous. Then the Venezuelan government took control of the Chevron plants down there when they elected a socialist government. From what I remember, says Eddie. Probably more to it. Yeah, that sounds correct, roughly. Feel free to chime in the chat if any of you guys recall any of this, the old lore of why they're significant. All right, let's get into the next topic. This is with the main leading topic, sort of. Although I guess I don't really have a ton on this, but I just had to. We talked about yesterday. We played the video at the beginning of the show yesterday. Was Anna, Paulina, Luna, or whatever the hell, on Rogan talking about aliens and shit. And I told you guys yesterday that I might do the brave act for you guys of taking one for the team and listening to that, because it was fucking awful. It was about 2.5 hours long. I listened to the entire thing because I just assumed they had to have talked about Epstein at some point in time. I'll be honest. I try to here's my tweet on it. I said, did I lose my mind, or did Rogan have on the Truth Squad Task Force bimbo and not ask a single question about Epstein? I said, did I zone out during that portion? I mean, it was a task to listen to, so I did space out quite a bit, but what the fuck? So, I mean, please, if any of you guys in the chat you watch this interview or listen to this interview or whatever, if I'm missing something, I'll be honest. There were a couple times where you just kind of I forgot I was even listening, because it was just like, I mean, my mind was going in like a DID type thing of like it was experiencing trauma, and so it recoiled into itself, and so now I have this other weird altar for some reason that now has Anna Paulina knowledge in it for some reason. That's essentially what I was doing. I essentially restricted my body from fight or flight, and so then just went into this like, well, we're going to create this alter ego and protect your main ego from this thing going on, this screeching broad. Yeah, so I watched all of it, but I didn't catch anything. I recall Epstein being mentioned once, and it was in a listing of like essentially the tasks of whatever the fuck her job it was, her silly little fake appointed task force role. I think she was going to like JFK, MLK, Epstein. So she was listing the things, and she kind of conveniently, obviously, she may not have done this on purpose, but Epstein was kind of like in the middle of the listing of things. And it was like, maybe I'm overthinking, but it felt like it was kind of almost sped through, like, and then Epstein, don't think about that one. And yeah, so 2.5 hours. So I don't know. It's funny, actually. Somebody in this post, and this is for those. This is a pretty funny meme, by the way. This is a good little these memes, by the way. If you ever see me posting these, I got this from at Felford again. So for those who he just nothing but different versions of the Felford again meme. I don't know what to make of this. Like, I mean, I hate in certain, like someone pointed out, for example, I'll even show you here. I got into it with somebody, although they may have taken it because I blocked the guy. Maybe it won't show you, but it was funny. Someone it said something along the lines of like, I don't remember what they said. They did that thing where they like, looked at my Twitter and they searched for like a keyword, and they're like, and I think it was ironically, it was the story we covered yesterday the Indiana, I think, the Indians that were, or am I just saying Indiana because they're Indians? And that's what my mind did. I don't know, whatever. It was the Indians in that hotel in that, Midwestern state or whatever, that got busted, that we talked about yesterday. Well, the guy was like, did you even talk about this yet? Or whatever, and then put like a thing, like a screenshot of like search my Twitter, and it was like no, and it's like I literally did that, and but point being is I get what he was getting at though. He was kind of trying to flip it on me in a sense. So to give him a little bit of a credence here, he was like doing well, you didn't even talk about this one thing, and I don't like to do the so-and-so didn't do this, so therefore, because you're kind of working from you're essentially working from an invert. You're how do I put this? There's like a logical term for this. It's like it's a deduction or no, it's like the opposite. Like I'm working off of information not being there. So like it's like I'm trying to, and this is kind of what makes conspiracy people lose their minds. So the idea that he's not doing something, there's a million reasons why. For some reason, there could have been Joe Rogan brought on Anna Paulina Luna, the broad who was like essentially made herself the face of the Truth Task Force, or what, I don't even know what it's called. I just keep calling it that. And she comes on and doesn't say a word. I mean, maybe literally a word, but they don't go into it at all. He doesn't go in. They're technically, in a logical sense, you're like, there's a million reasons, but I struggle. I mean, you sit there and you go, how are you? I do not know how I come away from this. Now, I will say, I guess before I go further, I did see the homie Sam Tripoli posted that he just came out there. So who knows? Maybe he'll go into some of that and this or that. But I struggle to imagine a scenario in which, at the very least, this wasn't like a negotiated interview in the sense that because I talked about this a little bit yesterday. There's been lots of rumors floated about that, like the Trump administration freaking out about their PR nightmare going on, and you kind of can see they've tried to throw in a few people up to some major, people like the Rogans to be like, say like Kash Patel and stuff, trying to get these certain of their players to kind of take off as in this sphere, and then it just seems a few of them haven't taken off, and then now here we have Rogan with one, and then if you watch this interview, I don't know how you don't take this away as it was so fucking boring, and it really did feel like if I took maybe a little bit over me. She's like generally smart, but just kind of a pretty bimbo-ish type, can memorize lines. And I took her and I was like, okay, we're gonna, especially if I'm somebody that's not even really if you're just like, okay, we're gonna fucking get you to where you go on bro podcasts. Like if someone outside looking in, someone that doesn't really know it, like just the colloquial conception of this, like some PR person that's like, and they're like, all right, Anna Paulina, we're gonna go through and I'm gonna set up you're gonna, here's some alien talk, here's some, I think they even got a little bit into Enochian type stuff. So like enough to kind of vague, let's be real, non-substantive for the most part. I mean, nothing she really said was substantive. It was all like alien stuff, but like I can't tell you. I also thought it was particularly interesting that she literally went into at one point. She was going that like, oh yeah, I've seen evidence that convinced me of this X, Y, and Z or whatever. I forget how she hedges every little specific claim. But point being is like essentially making the claim that I have seen things that have convinced me of things. And then I think like it's like, okay, well the idea is like you're being very vague here. And it's funny that they were like, I swear it was like probably 3 to 5 times Rogan literally made a point to be like, man, it's just fucked up how like these people, how they can just like hide things from us, how they can just why is it like, why are these people doing this? Why? And it's like the whole time it's like, and I'm not even actually holding this against Rogan. I feel like he almost could have been doing it on purpose because it's like, I have a hard time believing he's that dumb that he's really meaning it in like a sincere way. But it's like, yeah, bitch. And then she kind of comes in and goes like, yeah, that is crazy. They blah, blah, blah. But like, bitch, that's you. You literally just told us this information that is being withheld. You have seen information. Like, yeah, sure, you can't procure the specific documents, I guess maybe, which would be the ultimate convincing piece of information here. But at the very least, you could give details about the things that you're claiming to have seen, especially since you are one of these people that is in the literal group that you are complaining withholds information. It is within your power to release that information. And then it's, well, it's against the law or this, or it's like, okay, but there's the issue. Like, it's no one takes accountability. That's the, like, everyone goes, oh, wow. It's just a systematic thing where it's like, well, who made this rule? I don't know. It's out there. And it's just funny that it's like, yeah, bitch, that's you. Like, over and over again, like, they should just say it. And like, almost like, isn't it just so immoral how they would just withhold this information? Like, yeah, you are withholding this information. But even then, it's like they didn't really actually talk about anything. It was like, I swear, it was like probably an hour and a half to 2 hours of nothing being said. Because it's just like very much a lot of like, well, I swear I've seen some things and it was really crazy and stuff. Okay. But point being is, it felt like she was being groomed as like a regular casting character to kind of go on the shows, and it felt like it was maybe they had to tone down the difficulty compared to the previous guests because it was such a kid glove. There was nothing, and I know I'm not saying I was even expecting Rogan to be someone who would like, shit on her or do any, but like, even just from an interesting perspective, because when I listen to Rogan, I expect engaging conversation. I don't expect typically debate or argumentation. But I do expect interesting information typically. But there was, even just from a compelling content perspective, nothing at all. So like, so it's not even that I'm complaining that he didn't argue with her. It's just that, what is this? Like, that's kind of like, what is this? Like, and even then it's like, you see the interview and it lingers in really boring stuff that's kind of, she doesn't really have anything to say. And like, I don't know, maybe I guess you could say that that's just where Joe wanted to keep it at. But like, I would think as an interviewer, and I think he's probably a far more skilled interviewer than I am. I'm watching this and seeing things that I would do much differently without even thinking about the idea of the glaring elephant in the room, the Epstein stuff. But even that aside, it's like, what is going on here? What is this? Like, how are you even? Like, it felt like someone came in, and which is this. And what's confounding to me about this too is that it feels like to me that someone came to him and said. And there could be a million reasons why they would or wouldn't do this. And I understand why podcasters do in certain circumstances say, hey, so-and-so's coming on your show. They will or they won't talk about this. They will do. Blah, 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 blah. That's perfectly fine. I understand having terms and this and that. But, when you're like the biggest podcaster, and they've also kind of fronted themselves as kind of like, well, no, you don't need to. It's not like me coming to your terms, it's you coming to my terms. That's kind of how it's. When literally the previous fucking, election, there was that story about Kamala was supposed to come to him. And then like it just didn't work out or whatever. And she was kind of being difficult. And so, but yeah, then here we go. This fucking. I don't know. It's just bizarre. I don't know what to make of this. I mean, once again, maybe something will come out. Maybe he will like kind of, but there's not even anything to come out because it's not like, at least with Kash, like he did ask him the obvious questions and then Kash gave his answers and he didn't give much pushback. And I know a lot of people got upset about Rogan and kind of like how he treated that interview and kind of like, like you should have really gave more shit. And like, I don't know, whatever. I probably would have handled it differently, but whatever. But like he asked it and then he got him on record saying those things and he looked really foolish. There wasn't even a need to really give pushback. But the thing is, when I say like, oh, maybe there'll be more here, I don't even know how there would be more here because there wasn't even anything to jump off of. Like the questions weren't even presented. There wasn't even like, hey, Anna, like what's going on with this Epstein stuff? Nothing. So it's like, but point being is kind of what I'm driving. It feels like some person came to Rogan and said, hey, we'd like to have Anna on your show. Here is the terms. Which is like fine, but it kind of flies in the face of the spirit of what Rogan's, typically perceived to be. So it's just, Odd. That's what it feels like to me. I don't know. It felt like there was like we were not talking about this or whatever. And I don't know why. I don't know what. I mean, there's a million reasons. Once again, like I said, even from a logical perspective, I'm working. When you're trying to figure out why somebody didn't do something, it's a lot harder than trying to figure out why they did something, because you're working from anyways. Bizarre. But more on this. This kind of on this right here. I tried to hunt down this tweet because I felt like this was pretty revealing and kind of what I'm getting at here. Here's Ian Carroll, and I mentioned this yesterday. Once again, I tried to hunt down this tweet, so I think she may have deleted it, but her page is like flooded. So essentially, I think she put out an initial tweet that listed a handful of things or a bunch of things she talked about on the show with Rogan, and then Ian responded. So I don't have the original tweet, and he said, "So am I to understand, based on it not being on your list here, that you talked for hours and didn't discuss the Epstein files and your little task force dedicated to publishing them?" And now it only shows like a couple thousand here. I will say when I looked at it, I swear it was probably an over 4x ratio. So this reply just wrecked her shit. And then this is her response, which is pretty telling to me. She says, and now I will tell you, once again, I saw the metrics when they were at their peak. This one didn't do as well responsive-wise. So I says, maybe you should do your own research before making dumb comments on X. Oversight as a whole has sent a subpoena for documents and people. I don't hold D-class authority. Before you jumped on the bandwagon for the files, I was trying to get them from the DOJ. And yes, I have a paper trail. While you monetize your tweets, I was literally one of the only members of Congress calling it out. Maybe you should put your money where your mouth is and run for office to see if you can do a better job. But the fact is, you would probably never make it, and so you wouldn't even try. That sounds incredibly defensive to me. It sounds like, I don't know, someone who's feeling pretty guilty about doing 2.5 hours on the largest, like, I don't know, how do I put this? The largest media, what's appearance one could do in the world. I mean, what was there bigger than Rogan? And this is like what your, like, who is Anna Paulina? Like, what do we know of her? Like, what is her claim to fame? Her claim to fame here is, I didn't even know of her until this task force. I don't even know what this task force is called. I just know she has some vague sort of rough responsibility, which obviously they all shirk, connected to the truthy stuff, the MLK, the JFK, the Epstein, and did not nary a word about it. She mentioned that what it was, I think briefly, like I mentioned, and I think listed the things that she was responsible for. But no, like if she's saying that, like, she's really trying to hold, what does she say here? What do we see before? I'm trying to see. There's something she said. She says, I was literally one of the only members of Congress calling it out. It's like, well, I don't know. That kind of rings hollow when you're on Rogan and you didn't say a word about it. Now, I also just find it bizarre too. Like, I guess I kind of get why she wouldn't, want to go. I mean, you would think the move would be that, like, you would want to lead and you would want to go hard. Like, if you're trying to show, but I mean, I get why she wouldn't, but at the very least, I still struggling to conceptualize why Rogan would, like, essentially just, what the fuck happened here? So yeah, and I guess a little bit more digging into her background. Here's a little interesting post from Parapower Mapping. This is a reminder: Anna Paulina Luna is the granddaughter of a Nazi who served in the Wehrmacht, and her father is a Messianic Jewish heroin addict. She also became a Maxim bikini model with the express permission of the Pentagon's Public Affairs Office. She's the Air Force E-Thought prototype. And and you know what? The funny thing is like you'd never know she was in the Air Force. She never mentions it. Never, ever, ever. Now, that's obviously me being silly, but I swear she must have mentioned it like 10 times in the show. And it's like, okay, we get it. Like, I don't know. I just find it gay. You're like, dude, it's just like, for one, like, dude, you weren't really, like, I mean, I don't know. I guess she is actually. The irony here is, like, she is, like, in a certain type of military, like the bureaucratic, corporatized, like the e-thought shit, the office worker, like the oh, I'm just here to get my check and look at me, I'm in the military, like that shit. Like, yeah, she is that. She's the like strong, independent. But I was in the military, and then they'll talk about decades later about how I was in the military. Like, bitch, you worked in fucking supply. You got a 2-hour lunch every day. You fucking you deployed once to a fucking probably super cushy location. Like, I mean, I don't know. There's different experiences, and that was the experience she probably had. Anyways, here's Kalani Pengosh saying the woman assigned to lead Trump's JFK assassination, Lim Hang, is a daughter of a Messianic Jewish heroin addict whose father, Heinrich Meyerhofer, served in the Wehrmacht before emigrating to Canada. Also, she worked as a Maxim model and cocktail waitress in a gentleman's club. Here's photos of her, which she was... I'm guessing this was probably other time when she was in the military. So these are the type of spreads she was doing while she was in the military. She was literally doing propaganda for the Defense Department. And then here's more. So a Messianic Jewish descendant of an Operation Paperclip-esque assimilated Nazi who also appears to have gone up in some sex world industry shit, heading up the investigation. The JFK clipping could not be more on brand, is what he has to say. And and then here's Booty pointing out that she became a Maxim model at the behest of the U.S. military. She's an early iteration of the IDF and brag PSYOP e-girls. So he's pointing to a interview question. It says, what led you to becoming a Maxim model? And it says, at the time, there was this idea that women in the military couldn't be feminine. I wanted to help shatter the narrative and decided to join the Maxim model competition in 2014. I'd also received permission to do it with the Public Affairs Office of the Pentagon, so it seemed like the military also wanted help breaking the stereotype. I ended up getting the magazine, still have that issue to this day. And then Kalani here saying, oh, perfect. It was a bikini model psyop. She was on assignment, not just moonlighting as a Sports Illustrated girl to support her wounded husband with PTSD from his tour on Afghanistan, as I first assumed. Yep. That's, I don't know. I want to check in the chat. It's been a minute, so I checked with you guys. I really am genuinely interested in what you guys' thoughts are, because I'm just at a loss for words, because I know, I don't know. I know a lot of you guys in chat are like, well, Rogan's a fad. But I've never really, don't get me wrong. He's always struck me as fairly genuine, and at least for me. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Maybe it's just the part of me that wants to see the good in people. But I just haven't, and maybe I just also haven't dug enough or whatever. But I've just never seen anything glaring that's like, and he's kind of. So I mean, now does it's? I know a lot of people bring up that like, hey, look, he has people like Mike Baker and shit like that on frequently, and other spooks. Yeah. Do I think he's 100% on with me where I am ideologically and is kind of a little bit spooked out by spooks? No, I don't think he's entirely there. I 100% think he's probably has a little bit of that, that blue-pilled nonsense in him. They're like, well, the CIA is some good, hard-working American people type. Like, I do think he totally has that, like, he is the kind of guy who sits there and goes, well, I don't know. I think they're just people trying to get home to their family. Like, he has that type, like, I could see him being like that. So I forget where I was even going with that, but point being is like, I'm not one who really has gone too much into the whole, like, he's a fad or this, that. I mean, I'm aware, obviously he's like the biggest show in the world. There are clearly assets swarming around him. And I'm sure they maybe, even some of them may even have some sort of vectors of control in different shapes or forms. And, maybe what we're seeing here is one of these. I don't know what, I don't know enough about his personal life or what influence others could possibly have on him. But I struggle to, I'm at a loss for words or ideas of what this is. And it kind of is really just kind of comes down to, it's just like, kind of feels like it was just some PR hack job for the administration. That's kind of what it feels like. But maybe I'm just jaded. You guys let me know. Let's roll through this, check in. I really don't know. I'm struggling to understand it because I try to almost want to give him an out here because I'm like, this is just, anyway, that's kind of just over the top to me. So, all right, let's roll through. Here's Evan saying, look up Ian Carroll. Yeah, I already looked it up. So yeah, yeah, Vanilla Grill says, I'm sorry to inform you, but the Jewish Congress Lady Luna won't be delivering the goods on JFK for Epstein. Yeah, I mean, I assumed that. But the idea that there wasn't even like an awkward question about it, you're like, what? Like, I don't know. Yeah, Tyler says the only way to even get close to listening to entire shows on video on mute. Yeah, it was awful. It was. I really can't. Can't impress on that how much. So good morning, Michael. He says I'm 30 minutes late. Well, good to have you here. Hunter Biden has me laughing. I'm in a moral dilemma now. Yeah, he's uncomfortably likable. It's weird. It says Knife Safety says I want Scott Horton on Rogan. I get Luna. I want to see Nancy Mace's melons. I get her flat ass. Yeah, hey, this is how it works. I'm seeing all the obvious. He's a Fed stuff in there. Which okay, fair enough. Maybe that's perhaps yeah. Here you go. Vanilla Grill says they spent more time talking about remote viewer finding the Ark of the Covenant than the literal child rapist in the Epstein files. They didn't talk about the latter, and they probably spent like a good 20 minutes on remote viewing. Which, if you know enough about remote viewing, remote viewing, let's be real, on its face, you should be insanely skeptical. It's kind of a retarded concept at its core. It really is. And I know people are like, oh, you're some fucking atheist. I think even from a religious perspective, it's kind of fucking retarded. Like, I think any way you look at it, remote viewing's pretty fucking retarded. No, sure, maybe it's real. I don't fucking know. But then if you apply even a little bit of a jaded perspective when you dig into the concept of remote viewing, and if you, especially if you question the motives of anyone involved, you get to, I feel like pretty quickly, this shit's fucking spooky as fuck. And I don't buy any of this. So that's where I am with remote viewing. So, but I don't know. I know everyone always tries to convince me it's real or whatever. I don't fucking. Maybe it is. So someone says Benny Johnson's show is bigger than Rogan. That is funny. That is actually a whole story of its own right there. The Benny Johnson show being bigger story, because that was I didn't really look into it enough, but there was some sort of thing recently where it's like, it clearly was proof that he's buying bots or something. So you looked at the metrics and people were like, holy shit. It's showing that like Benny has something insane like 5x the audience of Rogan or something crazy. So I don't know if he fucked up his budget for bots that month or whatever. I have no idea what happened there. Good morning, Nevsky. Good morning. Good to have you here. Messianic Jewish Heroin Addict is a great group chat name. That actually is a great group chat. We should totally get a Twitter group chat, by the way. I know we have the Telegram, but we should totally get a Twitter group chat. I feel distraught now I no longer have Tower Gang. That was like my only group chat I have. So if everybody's a Fed, then nobody's a Fed. There's some top level philosophy there, Nevsky. You're not wrong. Then Bobo says, I really hated this one NP bitch talk about how she was deployed to Cuba all the time at the beach with the pictures. I was like, are you kidding? Afghanistan, Iraq is real deployment. Pollo says, I think all military women are whores. I mean, I wouldn't say all. I met some women I respected and I thought were really great ladies, and I know, but it definitely, the incentives there that are in place in the military can make a woman behave worse, and also can take a bad woman and accentuate the problem. The point being is there are a lot of incentives that women can tap into there. So it really does take, like, when you say like, oh, I know a good woman in the military, frankly, it's kind of like it's really almost you should take it as the greatest compliment. If I am as a man being like, oh yeah, I was in the military with her, she was cool, you should take it as a really great compliment, because I kind of fall in line a lot with you, Polio, here, and I have a jaded perspective of military and women in the military. So if I knew you in the military, point being is you had everything working against you to begin with, and you somehow earned my respect. So point being is, if you're a chick in the military and I have good things to say about you, that says a lot. Because it is something about chicks there. I mean, there's a lot of guys. It doesn't take a lot of a lot of thinking to understand how throw a few women's in a situation like this, and they could really throw off some incentives. So yeah. Let me see. Bobo says, I leave open the possibility of Rogan being a Fed, or he's just sometimes pushed in a certain direction. Not sure if he's fully a Fed. Metzger says sometimes he has seen Feds at his club, the Mothership, though. Yeah. He's clearly compromised his base Kothar. Maybe it is just because he's retarded. Yeah, I don't know. Then Kothar says, I got spooked with the Pierre Thiel interview. I haven't seen episodes since. Yeah, to be fair, I don't even watch Rogan regularly, too. So I think, if anyone gets, too upset at me about my analysis here, it's not like I'm religious watcher of Rogan. So it's just from me checking in occasionally with episodes I find interesting. I don't think I ever watched that Pierre Thiel interview, but I've seen clips from it and like obviously spooked. And sometimes the way he does talk about these people, it is like, anyways. Remote viewing is totally gay, said Eddie Graham, 100%. Polio says, I never met a good one, but I concede there are some out there. Yup. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's get into the next one. Now, in the realm of what's going on with my heroes, although I don't know if I'd call Rogan a hero per se. Here's another one. This is one I almost covered yesterday, just kind of on my own, and then after it's like no, this is stupid. I shouldn't really go into it because it was another one of those like why didn't you type things. It's another one of those like, and now this one I will just go and throw it out here. Obviously, you guys can see the picture, Dave Smith right here. Now I'll just go ahead and throw it out here. I'm coming at it from a much different perspective here. I think I'm giving Dave far more of the benefit of the doubt. I mean, don't be wrong, I give both the benefit of the doubt here. But given the previous situation we were just covering, I give Dave more of a benefit of the doubt here. I feel like it's a lot easier to find what we're about to go into here, ways to understand this. Whereas the Rogan one, I don't even know how someone like could come on here and defend that to me. Like, and I know, and that's with me admitting. Technically, like in a strict logical sense, I'm at a deficient, but it's just kind of, it's so obvious to everyone that's like, this is obviously the thing. Like, how is this not? Anyways, just get back to the thing we are talking about now. Now, there was this other recent spat, I guess you could say, between Tucker, Candace, and Fuentes, and we've covered this a little bit on the show. And then I guess Dave has weighed in on this a little bit. He went on my buddy Clint's show. They were at Ron Paul's 90th birthday or whatever, and I guess Clint was there, and he did a live interview with Dave, Scott Horton, and who was the other one? Luke Rudkowski. Just want to make sure I didn't forget anybody. I don't want to be a dick. Oh, it literally says it right there. I'm an idiot. But anyway, so they did an interview. They talked about. Now I want to give. Just to set the stage, I'm pretty sure, I don't remember the exact day this Fuentes stuff bubbled up, but I'm pretty sure, like this whole like back and forth between him and Tucker particularly. Candace gets kind of mixed in here, but she's more in the periphery. It's basically Tucker versus Fuentes, and I think really the crux of the thing here is the Fed accusations, really. I know I feel like this sort of got sidestepped in a sense, and I don't think this was intentionally. I'll explain more. Now, like when he went on Clint's show, the coverage was mostly of the Fuentes, Candace, Tucker thing was more of a conversation on which way is the right moving. Are they moving in more of a, I guess, I don't know, whatever you consider the Tuckers of the world? And it almost felt like, I guess they were kind of almost equating it to, I guess you could say, quote unquote, our camp, whatever you want to call that. And then it was almost felt like sort of roughly characterizing the Fuentes as almost a little bit more racialized, this other thing, and just kind of a bristling, maybe what's the direction of the right? And they're almost framing this as a battle for the heart of the right type thing, which to some degree there's a truth there, but I think it's kind of missing the substantive point here, which seemingly got sidestepped. Now, once again, as I said, I don't want to accuse anyone of any sort of, because I think there are ways to understand this one much easier. Now, I think Dave probably is, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he's not super embroiled in the details of the glowy nature of Tucker, his father, and more. And also, I'm sure he doesn't bother himself in the ins and outs of grown men's beefs. I pop into these occasionally. I run like a daily show, so stuff like this I find interesting. But I mean, Dave does what, 2 to 3 episodes a week. He usually keeps it far more, big topics, I guess you could say. So the idea that Dave is wasting hours of his life watching Fuentes, wasting might be the wrong word. I'm not trying to cast a negative aspersion. Fuentes actually has pretty good streams. A few times I've watched streams of his, I've enjoyed them. Anyways, but point being is I don't think Dave is spending 5 hours on a Saturday watching a Fuentes Rumble live stream. I highly doubt that. And vice versa. I doubt that Fuentes is really checking in on Dave's work all that much. So point being is they're not tapping into all the arguments. So they're likely getting confronted with these things and kind of having just vague ideas of what's going on. And they're probably getting the cliff notes from kind of just, I guess, social media at the time. And so that's kind of my understanding. And I guess the point I kind of accidentally skated over, but I didn't mean to. The timing of the release of this thing too is even in the. I mean, I don't remember the exact dates, but the 90th birthday, this got released. This podcast got released. I think it was like a good day or two later after the after the 90th birthday thing. Which even then, I think Ron Paul's 90th birthday bash or whatever was already like 1 or 2 days removed from the Fuentes thing. So from a news cycle perspective and who's aware of what. It was pretty, from my recollection, pretty on the cutting edge soon or still. So to give my buddy Clint some backing here, and kind of like how he handled the interview, is kind of like it was still pretty fresh. So I doubt that I'd put money on it that Clint probably hadn't watched Fuentes' 5-hour live stream, and I think he also did a part 2, which was like a 3 or 4 hour live stream or something crazy. I doubt Clint watched those, or both of them, or the entirety of all of them at that point in time. He may have by now, but from my recollection of how this went down time-wise, it was pretty quick. So a lot of people are attacking Dave, and I think there is a genuine question to be had here. It's interesting, given the accusations made by Fuentes, and then kind of the position that Dave finds himself in is kind of, let's be real, Candace and Tucker have done lots for him, and I'm actually really grateful for them for doing that, and I'm actually grateful for a lot of things they've done recently. I know I've said many times, I think Tucker's probably a fucking fed. He may be. I'm open to the idea he isn't, but that doesn't exclude the fact he's done a lot of great things, and I hope he continues to do great things. It's just the idea of make sure you keep an independent mind, and I guess it's just kind of a casual reminder to not fall into idol worship, because not everybody's what they seem to be. It's why you need to come up with some sort of internally consistent concept of ideas of your own, and not rely on others for this. Because if you're relying on Tucker or Fuentes or Candace or Dave, you're probably going to be disappointed at some point. Although I will say, when they say the Meet Your Heroes things, Dave's always been cool. So on that side of things. Anyways, I've hedged this enough. I guess let's start here. This is the post I saw, because I will say, I was already kind of like, I was trying to like processing this in my head, like what to make of this, because you feel the answer Dave gives in this interview, which they might get into, felt inadequate given if you know all of the things. But I obviously, as I kind of get it, I don't know if Dave did at that time, so. But let's go through this to kind of give the situation here. And I guess it's a little bit of a maybe shameless plug too, because I really do think I think Dave should probably, maybe he will in a future episode. These are things he should address, because maybe these are things just now coming to his attention. But I think now, especially that you'll see he's engaged in this thread here with some people, he's now made aware of information. And so it's kind of like, I mean, I don't know. You'd think you'd at least, I don't know, say something, or I just, maybe, I don't know. I guess we'll go through it together. We'll see what specifically was said. And he said, and it's like, are you in a point where you're like, oh, you should probably, it's unreasonable for you to not be like, oh, this. But point being, because it does seem like this seems to be, I don't know. We'll get into it. Let's start here. Index Red, this is the account that shared. He said, 3 of the sharpest voices, Dave Smith, Clint Russell, and Luke Rutkowski. I hold you all in high regard. Nick Fuentes puts hours of receipts on Tucker and calls out his phony operation. None of you engage the arguments. Why not? And he tags Dave, Clint, and then Luke in this. And he goes, and then Dave responded. He said, thank you for the kind words. I haven't seen the hours receipts that you're referring to. That's why I didn't comment them. I agree that Nick's argument should be dealt with in good faith, and I plan to do so. Okay, cool. I must have missed over that part. So I plan to do so. Cool. So maybe he plans on doing it. Open invitation to Dave. I actually think this would be a great place to come on my show to do this. I haven't had him in a long time. So if you guys are the audience, hey, just tag the guy. tag me in it. I will fucking boost anything that you do that with, because I would like to get back on the show, especially for this. I even tagged in this. I said, come on, no way, Jose, to talk about why Tucker is probably a Fed, Trump likely fucks kids, and J.D. Vance is almost certainly Peter Thiel's fleshlight. I said, we miss you. So then I shared a few, funny little things. Here's the picture of Tucker with the over in South America. Here's a fun little article about Epstein and Thiel. And then the first page of the Guardian piece about Trump and his look of the year stuff with all the kiddos and the Casablancas and all that. So, yeah. Anyways, we'll get point. Still shameless plug. Let's get him on here for that. Maybe he'll address it on its own, but I feel like we have just the right venue here for these sorts of questions. But anyways, this is what he says. He says, thank you for the kind words. I haven't seen the hours or receipts that you're referring to. That's why I didn't comment on them. I already said that. I said, agree, they should be dealt with in good faith. I plan on doing so. Goes, this is the first thing that has to be addressed, in my opinion. Did Tucker lie? If so, why? He has not responded to this. This is index red. And so this is obviously to Dave. And then, so here is, when we've played this on the show before, but we'll play it again here. It says, and this is a tweet, it says, let's be crystal clear. It says, in 2024, Tucker casually admits, yeah, obviously my father worked in conjunction with the CIA. And it goes, in 2025, he says he was completely shocked to learn that exact same thing. He lied. All right, let's go ahead and play this.
And so when I applied to CIA, and I've taken a lot of crap, including from Putin, like, oh, you're from a CIA family. Well, yeah, obviously my father worked in conjunction with CIA. I mean, that's what that is. And I tried to join the CIA, but I'm not being false about it. Native talent. And he's attacking my dad as a CIA, his dad's in the CIA or whatever. And I'm like, well, that's no. Untrue. Then my father dies, and I learn actually, yeah, was involved in that world. I was completely shocked by it. So no one has to believe me, but that's just a fact.
Right.
And so when I applied to CIA.
Okay, let's play this one more time. I was looking at something else on a different tab, but let's play this real quick. I want to get the specific words right here.
And I've taken a lot of crap, including from Putin, like, oh, you're from a CIA family. Well, yeah, obviously my father.
Yeah, I was from a CIA family. Obviously, my father
worked in conjunction with CIA. I mean,
worked in conjunction with CIA.
That's what that is.
So that's what that is, yeah.
And I tried to join the CIA, but I'm not being false about it.
Okay, so there's in conjunction. So, all right, now let's get back here. Now this is what Dave has to say here. He says, I don't think Tucker is lying here. Obviously, there's a difference between working in conjunction and working for the CIA. It does seem to take away from Tucker's point that Nick claiming his dad was CIA indicates some inside knowledge. He could have been and likely was using the two interchangeably. I honestly don't think either of them are feds, and I'm more interested in the arguments that they are advancing than unsubstantiated accusations. Now, I will say, I get the point that he's saying here, and I don't think I'm not necessarily saying he's lying or anything like that, but I would probably disagree with it, or at the very least, like, I would characterize it differently, particularly the last sentence there. It says, I don't think either of them are feds. I mean, I don't know. I'm open to neither of them being feds, and I'm more interested in the arguments that they are advancing than unsubstantiated accusations. Now, that last two words there, unsubstantiated accusations. I mean, I guess now this holds up on what do you consider unsubstantiated. It's kind of, I guess this kind of comes down to what meets your threshold of proof, evidence, concern, whatever the specific term you want to use here. I think we're far past that. Now, I will say it's not to the extent where you say, throw this guy out, he's clearly a Fed, but it's far past the point of, like, I think people should be aware of this, and I think, I mean, I don't know. And I don't think it's even really being shitty. I mean, I get Fed jacketing is kind of gross and this, but at the same time, if there are obvious things out there that are, like, concerning about someone, I don't know. I think it behooves you to be aware of these things. I think we can walk and chew gum at the same time. I can value Tucker's, his interviews and all the heroic stuff he has been doing in advancing narratives that align with what I would like to see. Does that mean he's not a Fed? No. Does that mean that like I shouldn't also be concerned about some of his connections and alliances and things he seems to want to push? No. I mean, I don't know. And I mean, once again, he clearly, it sounds like he even implied he hasn't gotten at his arguments yet. And I will admit, the things I'm getting at, the Fed stuff, technically speaking, there's nothing in there that I'm aware of that's like, yup, like logically speaking, totally a Fed. But there's like, especially when we're talking this level of intel type stuff, like this, like, let's be real, like CIA royalty type shit, like sons of fucking like people who ran their fucking like foreign fucking CIA propaganda shit. I forget where fucking, these are, I forget where I was even going with that. But the point being, these are people worth being aware of what's going on with, and I think they're past the point of just unsubstantiated accusations. What was I getting with that? I had a point. Where was I going with that? Anyways, and then, yeah, obviously some point there was this picture taken before or after Tucker applied for the CIA and was denied to become a broadcaster like his father who attacked right-wingers as anti-Semites. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is, I guess, where Dave's at with this. I would say if you know enough about... Oh, I remember what I was getting at. I was just saying that the... technically speaking, logically speaking, there's nothing in there that you'd be like 100% he's a Fed. But, I mean, when you look at just the connections, like his dad was running Voice of America, which was like their foreign propaganda, like CIA propaganda, essentially. Like, you just get to a point where, like, you should be aware of these are things that people should be aware of, and it raises some eyebrows at the very least. And, God, I fucking lost my point again. I don't know what's going on in my brain. I'm all over the place. Oh, I remember what I was getting at. The point being is that you're never, I was also getting at the idea of that, like, with something like this, technically speaking, you're never really usually going to, guess maybe, okay, I guess that's not true. Every now and then you will catch, perhaps, and none come to mind off the top of my head, but examples, perhaps, of where Feds get caught and, like, here is a silver bullet, they're totally a Fed. But let's be real, they usually, it's kind of cooked into the making, it's like baked into the pie of the whole CIA, Fed, Intel game, whatever, is to have plausible deniability upon plausible deniability upon plausible deniability. It just kind of comes to a point where, like, you stack enough plausible deniabilities that it loses its plausibleness. And that's, I think, kind of where we're at with Tucker. Where, at the very least, I think a logical human being would go, yeah, sure, I can't know for certain, but you should be concerned. And you should at least be aware. And maybe, I'm not saying you should be like Fed jacking him, screaming out to the rooftops, but I think it probably behooves you to be aware of these people, especially when it clearly seems like they are trying to gatekeep. So, anyways, I don't know if I have really much more to add on that one. I'll probably roll the chat, see what you guys are going to say, but I just thought this was odd. I just wanted to talk about it a little bit. I guess also kind of wanted to see your thoughts. Here's I was actually seeing maybe there's more clips from this interaction. Okay, here we go. Here's one clip from this. Says dodges every. Here we go.
It's a plausible opinion. You know, I think Nick did a good job of playing into that because this is what he's really good at: is blood sport, internet wars. Yeah. The truth is, I think Nick Fuentes has probably attacked a bunch of people for being poor in the past.
Oh, of course.
I'm sure he's attacked people for living in their mom's basement and stuff like that. And the truth is, if you are like, it's like, look, I know this is from being a comedian. If there's some heckler who you hate who's in the front row and he's a 400-pound Indian dude and he's just, you hate him, the first thing that comes to your mind is you're like, shut up, you fat Indian, you probably smell like curry. Like, it's just the first thing. Doesn't mean you even have to have anything against fat Indians. It's just, I don't know, I wanted to get you, and that was the lowest hanging fruit that was right in front of me. And so if Tucker's pissed off at Nick Fuentes, the go-to is like, listen, child who's in the closet who lives with your mom. That's just kind of the go-to lowest hanging fruit. So I think Tucker just wanted to take shots at, like I said, he probably shouldn't have. But, you know, with the Trump thing, I don't think he was ever the real deal. I don't know. I mean, once again, David hopefully will address this soon. I'd love for him to come on and talk to us about this. I think this would be a great spot for him to do it. But hopefully he does respond to this soon because, I mean, I'm not going to spend another hour going through all the information. We've spent plenty of time in the show going through all this stuff, all the weirdness in Tucker's past that, at the very least, raises reasonable questions, I think.
And I don't know. It kind of comes off as, I understand, and I totally understand too, being like the idea of like Dave's, position he's in, and like, let's say I was in that position. Like, I mean, obviously you're in a weird position where like you do kind of want to say the thoughts on your mind, but you're also trying to weigh is certain things worth saying because you don't want to burn bridges, and also is they worth saying because I don't know, they may be baseless, kind of like the say it stuff I'm saying. As I've readily admitted over and over again, I don't know that any of these people are feds or whatever. I mean, Tucker is obviously the one that's the most concerning in my opinion, giving his pedigree, but I mean, I don't know, these are things that we should be. I don't know, how do I put this? It's just the idea that like, yeah, this is I understand that being in this situation and perhaps feeling, but I know there comes a certain realm where like, I don't know. I think Fuentes is putting this into a level in the info game to where it's becoming unavoidable. And I'm not necessarily saying Dave is avoiding it, because he even said in this that he, could try to grapple with it later. He just may not have known. I'm just, yeah, anyways, I forget where I was going with that. Zoning out. Let's move into the chat, see what you guys say, then move on to the next thing. Bray says, whenever you talk of Fuentes, can you show that video of him telling January 6th protesters storm the Capitol, break down the barriers, describe the police? Yeah, I know people share that around a lot too. I've never really looked into the specifics. I've seen the video, I think. So, I mean, that one is weird. So I'll give you that. I'm also, once again, I'm open to the idea Nick is. So, although just that's the only thing I've really seen that's of any substance. Everything else with him has always been, well, he's just like, they'll be like, well, he's being friendly to me, so he's clearly trying to shitcoat me, and so he's clearly a Fed. And then they're like, okay, and then they're like, well, now he's being nice, now he's being shitty to me, and so he's attacking me. And you're like, so he's clearly a Fed. You're like, you do understand you've created this logical trap, and no matter what he does, you don't like him, right? For the most part. I mean, I guess there are other options there you could do, but it's just you trying to create a situation in which nothing you can do. But so far as substance, I will give you that, Ray. The one video, that is something that you're like, okay, all right, what's going on? It's Eddie Grimm saying the same thing. Yep. Now, everyone does bring up, though, that it's weird that he didn't get arrested. Now, I will say that is an admitted. I mean, there's plenty of examples. I mean, I probably should have one off the dome to recall when I talk about this. But there are definitely examples of situations where feds do shit like that, where they will intentionally not arrest someone from a group or vice versa. Like, they'll essentially intentionally Fed jacket someone just to create strife within an organization. Like, they'll literally round up a whole group of people, like, and even some like dangerous groups, and then intentionally just let one of them go, knowing that like everyone's gonna be like, that dude's a fucking snitch. And it's kind of sketchy that they even do that, because it's like, you could get people killed. But anyways, point being is, like, a lot of people try to point to these sort of things of like, oh, well, he's clearly not a Fed, he's clearly is a Fed, or clearly not a Fed because of X, Y, and Z. And you're like, I mean, there's all sorts of reasons why or why not these things could be a lot of times. So now I will say, though, once again, though, the pushing for illegal actions, obviously that's pretty over the top, like Fed-ish behavior. So maybe there's another way to understand that, but I don't know. Good morning, comment mama. Good morning. Prediction: Fuentes and J. Ray by Thanksgiving. Yeah, they're getting beyond a breaking point. They're gonna have to. Honestly, that's the biggest thing with this Tucker thing is why don't you just have him on? It's just weird. All right. Yeah, factual but not truthful is what comment mama. Yeah, that's not me. That's a Michael Malice quote, by the way. The factual, not truthful thing. Let me see what else is in here. He used I'm not a Fed, Alex Jones lawyer. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, comment mama. And then Liam says, anyone think it's odd the same control ops heads are always talking, i.e. Candace, DS, I don't know who DS is. Who's DS? Am I retarded? Tucker, etc. I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's just probably just a function of them having as big a shows as they do as well. All right, let's keep it moving. What do I want to go into next? Let's go into this. Let's watch this latest Kash Patel I think we're in Groundhog Day. I think he's found more super secret files. Let's watch this.
Sean, I was blown away, but sadly, it's come to be expected in this town when
Oh,
corrupt
DS is Dave Smith.
bureaucrats
I'm retarded.
weaponize and destroy law enforcement like predecessors of mine did at the FBI. And thankfully, Donald Trump's mandate and election victory was for transparency and accountability. Sean, just think about this for a second. Not only did we expose the Russiagate hoax with the greats like Devin and Trey and Johnny Ratcliffe when we were back there on the House Intel Committee excavating and exposing the FISA abuses, the corruption of political parties, and the lies to a federal court just to illegally surveil a presidential candidate. I come in then years later, nearly a decade as a director of the FBI, thinking we uncovered most of it. But sadly, we found a room locked away in the Hoover building that contained burn bags. And just for your audience, Sean, a burn bag is a government bag that is specifically created to destroy classified evidence and shred and burn it, hence the name burn bag. We didn't find one, we found 7. That wasn't the only thing we found in there. We found hard drives from our predecessors and prior FBI leadership, and folks like Page, Strzok, Comey, McCabe, Comey, the list goes on from Russiagate. The names were strewn all over these materials. Now, as our great Attorney General just told you, we can't deny or confirm what we're looking at, but what we can discuss is what we've publicly disclosed. And these documents have been publicly disclosed because the greatest way to educate and bring along the American public for transparency, initiative, and accountability under President Trump is to give them the documents. And step 1 is by cleaning house inside the walls of Hoover.
All right. Well, so Kash Patel, he found some burn bags in the bureau. I guess this is he says it's a government issue container specifically used to destroy classified evidence by burning it. Ooh. Well, it sounds to me like Kash Patel discovered, I don't know, their fucking shredding, their paper shredding closet or their supply closet or whatever the fuck it is. Because, yeah, I mean, for one, okay, all right, let's go into this. Here's an account called the Skiff, the Intel Skiff. It says every skiff, which I forget what skiff stands for, but for those who aren't aware, it's essentially I believe it's like I think most commands have a skiff, if I recall correctly. I think technically like even like but yeah, it's usually gonna be like Intel and stuff. Sometimes like anyways, point being, it's usually some sort of area with like top secret stuff going on. And it sounds a lot spookier than it is, depending on where it's at, I guess, depending on what unit it is or whatever. It just means like stuff like, I don't know, they have to use certain computer programs, they have to keep their phones outside the rooms, just more security type stuff. But this Skiff account, which is I guess he's a digital operator, Intel researcher, so just some Intel guy. A guy who probably worked in some sort of Skiff in the military. So he has inside information on these sort of things. He says every skiff requires all paper trash to be disposed of in burn bags instead of regular trash cans to prevent inadvertently throwing away classified trash. Draft classified reports, briefings, photos, etc. that are not final products are routinely disposed of in this manner. This is standard operating procedure / protocol. And they shared a photo of Trump Force One on February 2024 with the burn bag in the back. So you can see. So yeah, this is congrats, Kash. You found the shred closet. Good for you. So these are the games they're playing with you. And even if this was like, you're like, oh no, we found these burn bags. Let's say this wasn't. You're like, these are. He said they're shredded documents, right? Or did I mishear that? I swear he said they were shredded in those bags or whatever. So like the idea is that they were shredded and they were to go be burnt later. I'm not going to rewatch the video. I guess in the chat, let me know if I was wrong. But point being is, even if they were not supposed to be disposed of in that manner, they're already shredded. So, I mean, anyone who knows anything about like shredding and like classifications, it's like the whole reason they shred is because like good luck putting that information back together. And I don't think the FBI spent painstaking hours to put together, bags and bags of this information together. Because I don't even know if I guess you could. But yeah, anyways, point being is this is retarded. This is retarded. But to give them a little bit of a kind of a pat in the back, I guess there's sort of something to some of the Clinton stuff they've been swinging out lately. Here's one from Ken Silva. There's been more information coming out, kind of making the Clinton Foundation look like the fucking the evil organization that it is. So top DOJ officials ordered FBI agents to stop investigating Clinton Foundation, new memo shows. So the a newly unearthed FBI memo shows that agents seemingly had a strong case against then presidential candidate Hillary Clinton for trading political favors in exchange for donations to the Clinton Foundation when she was Secretary of State. But that top Justice Department officials prevented the Bureau from investigating further. The memo, a timeline of the Clinton Foundation investigation, was reportedly unearthed by top aides to FBI Director Kash Patel. It was first reported by Just the News. According to the memo, the Clinton Foundation caught the interest of certain FBI agents in 2015 after journalist Peter Schweizer published the book Clinton Cash, The Untold Story of How and Why Foreign Governments and Businesses Helped Make Bill and Hillary Rich. In January 2016, FBI offices in New York, Arkansas, and Washington, D.C. were authorized to open an investigation, but were told not to take any further investigative steps until consulting with the Justice Department. On February 1st, 2016, FBI and DOJ officials first met in the Little Rock to discuss the case. A pro-Clinton official was there and refused to recuse himself from the meeting, indicating that the case was compromised from the beginning. And here is the document right here. It says Clinton, oh man, these are so redacted, it's almost not worth it. He says, shortly after 2-1 CID meeting with DOJ, unknown exact date, LOR personnel, redacted, possibly former, redacted, and redacted, who did not know about the DOJ position mentioned above, briefed the Eastern District of Arkansas, redacted, and redacted on the CF matter, redacted was told by LOR personnel, either by redacted or redacted, he may not want to be party to the briefing because of conflicts of interest. LR expressed these concerns due to the possibility that Redacted was believed to be a supporter of the Democratic Party and possibly the Clintons. Redacted advised he was fine and participated in the briefing. After the briefing, Redacted said he wished he could unhear the briefing but agreed to move forward. EDAR USAO advised they were fully committed. So, all right, obviously there's somebody in there going over their conflicts of interest and just kind of like, whatever. That same month, the DOJ told the FBI office that it would not support an investigation, implying this case was just based on open source reporting and fishing through a book, according to the newly released FBI memo. However, the FBI had an informant who possibly had information about the Clinton Foundation, the memo said. The informant's info made it all the way up to then Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, who reiterated that no further steps should be taken without his approval. McCabe did authorize agents to debrief their informants about the matter, but he said not to recruit any more informants. Weeks later, the DOJ became more adamant about stifling the investigation. Then Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates ordered the Eastern District of Arkansas to shut it down entirely. The memo doesn't explain the reason for Yates' decision. The DOJ was against the investigation despite the fact that the FBI had a cooperating witness who recorded conversations with someone associated with the Clinton Foundation, according to the newly released FBI memo. All right, let me see. Bringing this up. Here is a memo. It says, redacted of Eastern District of New York's Public Integrity Unit advised NYO redacted that EDNY spoke with the DAG, the something Attorney General's office, and was told to move forward and meet with a cooperating witness. The purpose of the meeting with the CW, cooperating witness, was for the CW to review transcripts of the recording between the CW and an individual associated with the CF. Redacted and redacted discussed meeting with the CW to occur on about March 10th, 2016. Then the FBI decided to consolidate the entire case into the New York City field office, ostensibly because that's where the majority of the Clinton Foundation activities were. As the election neared, the Clinton Foundation investigation ground to a halt. After Trump won in stunning fashion, agents started worrying about the statute of limitations, that the statute of limitations was approaching. Still, nothing happened. Trump did say that he wouldn't be pursuing charges against Clinton. The last entry in the FBI memo is from August 2017. It says FBI agents were still looking into 19 Clinton Foundation bank accounts obtained by the Little Rock field office during a separate campaign finance investigation, but nothing ever came from the matter. Some 8 years later, the second Trump administration is now investigating whether the Obama administration conspired to tilt the election towards Clinton in 2016. To that end, Director Patel has also released a long-hidden annex to John Durham's 2023 Special Counsel report, which shows that the Obama administration pressured the FBI to downplay then-presidential candidate Hillary Clinton's email scandal ahead of the 2016 election. Patel is running an investigation into whether there was a grand conspiracy between intelligence officials and Democratic politicians. Trump has indicated that Obama won't be charged because he was operating under presidential immunity, but that other officials could still be open to criminal liability, which I don't know if we ever covered that in the show. So just to re-emphasize that is something Trump floated out. I do recall that. Trump had said to himself that, oh, yeah, I believe he would have presidential immunity, which was funny, too, because at that time, like, that was at the time where it was like, oh, all the Obama stuff going on. They were trying to distract from the Epstein stuff, and everyone was like, ooh, and then you had all these people like, lock him up, and like, oh, we're going to lock up Obama, and all of his people being like, oh, we're going to lock him up, and then all these like, all these different, I saw lots of different, social media posts of like, oh, this legal expert claims Obama could actually, see jail time and blah, blah, blah. And then while all this cope is being spun out, someone asked Trump about it. And I think he said, oh, yeah, it's something along the lines of, yeah, he could. Like, it's like, oh, after, or not that he could, that he had, no, I think he has essentially, he has presidential immunity or whatever. And you're like, okay, well, all you had to do was say nothing here and you fucked up. So, yeah. So I just wanted to reemphasize that we're not even going to get Trump here. I don't think, let's be real, we're not going to get anybody here. So, but we're definitely not getting Obama. But who knows? Maybe we'll get some minor characters through all of this. But I guess in a certain sense, at least we know that's something. Then I guess to give a little bit more credence to the FBI and their current goings on, we talked a little bit about this yesterday. This is from Doctori. He found a follow-up on it he says, this is the same motel as one listed in the article you read today, and it seems to have some connections to Denver and the cartels. This is from Doctori. So he found another article, I guess, about, so it's another motel, so I guess maybe one of the little courts. I don't know, we'll get into it. It says 3 Omaha sex trafficking suspects appear in court. So there's a follow-up on the stuff from yesterday that the FBI apparently busted this whole thing. So it looks like this is connected. So let's keep going. Here we go. Says, police say they were first called to American near 13th Street and I-80 after someone reported a girl had stolen his wallet January 6th. And by the way, this was in February, so this was 6 months ago. So I guess Doctori found this based on the motels that was involved in this. Anyways, so they say the girl's linked to a sex trafficking ring with ties to Denver. 2 men and a woman are accused of transporting underage girls to Omaha for commercial sex. As prosecutors allege the 3 other men also involved in the case were American employees. Kavan Kumar Patel, Alfredo Zambrano Hurtado, and Vishalgir Goswami appeared in court February 19th, where Detective Dolan Profit took the stand. Detective Profit says he traced the alleged wallet thief's phone number to a commercial sex advertisement. Oh, what the hell? It just started updating. 1 second. It moved the thing all around. All right. Through the ad, Detective Profit said he arranged to meet 2 girls at the American. As soon as I walked into the lobby, I looked to the left and saw 2 extremely young girls. One had braces, wearing a robe, pink flamingo strip slippers on. They were clearly not adults, said Detective Profit. He says the girls led him to a hotel room. There he showed his badge and told them he was there to help. He then called the phone number of the alleged thief. A voice did answer that phone, so I knew it wasn't those 2 girls who were utilizing that phone number to post those sex ads, said Detective Profit. And good for Detective Profit here. In an interview with police, the girls said the suspects trafficked them to Omaha multiple times, where they were forced to exchange sex acts for a free hotel room. Police say the girls identified a hotel employee as a client. That man told detectives another employee gave him $60 from the hotel register to pay one of the girls for sex. All 6 suspects are scheduled to go on trial later this year. So I'm assuming maybe that this is what we're seeing now is kind of the fallout from these things. Appreciate that, Doctori. If you find more on this stuff, let me know. I'd be interested in it. Yeah. All right, let's roll with the chat. It's been a minute since I checked in on y'all. And, yeah, let's see what you guys got to say. All right. Let me see what else you guys got to say. See, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Common Mama says he claims that why he didn't get arrested or charged on January 6th. And I had brought up a thing you had said earlier about, let me see, that he used the old I'm not a Fed Alex Jones lawyer. Okay, so you're saying he had one of the same lawyers as Alex Jones. Okay. Well, that's a little bit sketchy when you do have dubious characters with the same lawyers. But it's also, I do think, probably like large people that are in the same realms probably typically share the same lawyers. Let's be real. That's just kind of, they'd probably specialize in that specific type of law. All right, let's keep going. Sensitive Compartment Information Facility. Thank you, Adrian Brody. Appreciate that. No Hoblos is always finding shit, never arresting high-power pedophiles. Bug Eyes is getting to a point where being Indian isn't the worst thing about him, says No Hoblo. J-Pro says it's crazy how they expect us to simultaneously believe they just left all these incriminating burn bags that directly implicate everyone, but obviously they altered the Epstein files. Yeah. Eddie says the shredders using skiffs to make incredibly hard. He's referring to like repiecing to get together. So yeah. All right. Yeah, here's Michael says, if I was a fed in some legal shit, I'd want Alex Jones's lawyer. See, yeah, exactly. If I was a fed in some legal, yeah. So yeah, so it's a joke playing on the whole talk. All right, let's keep moving. What else do we got? All right, let's get into the Crypto Kings torture ring. I've had a number of you guys tag me this. I haven't had a chance to really, I don't know, engage with this in any sort of way. I really don't know much about this, except I've just been tagged in it a bunch. I haven't really read any of it, so we're going to go through this together. Apparently some big thing going over New York. I've been hearing about this for like months here and there, but I guess this was I think this is one of the more recent exposés on whatever the hell this situation is. And thanks for tagging me in this, JC. Appreciate it. Much love, brother. And here we go. It goes. So let's go through this together. This is a New York Magazine investigation into the Crypto Kings torture ring contains wild revelations. By the way, it's from Kalani Pengosh sharing this. It says their townhouse security were off-duty new NYPD officers. So the pair claimed they're CIA operatives, and Duplessis thinks he was an MK Ultra patient. He grew up next door to Ray Dalio. I'll be honest, I don't know who the fuck Ray Dalio is. But let's go through these. This is the original article. I think you may have just screenshotted the whole thing or a good portion of it. So I'll read some of it. It says, so here's pictures of, I guess, some of these guys here. It says, the cryptomaniacs in the torture townhouse. Two men charged with an outrageous kidnapping scheme introduced a new kind of crime to the city. It says, early this year, the word spread through the text chains of the insular group of men who own and operate high-end Manhattan nightclubs that two new whales had appeared on the scene. For months, William Duplessis and John Woltz have been showing up nightly at clubs without a reservation. They were suddenly regulars at Jeans, Paul's Casablanca, and The Box, a downtown burlesque with a what happens here stays here reputation. Okay. Where they often spent six figures in a single evening. Holy shit. Clubs had to scramble to find more expensive bottles to sell them. All right. More on this. So they tended to bring their own security team, sometimes as many as 10 guards, more than A-list celebrities have, yet none of the nightclub operators knew who they were. Several people who saw them assumed they were tourists. They looked like hillbillies in the middle of Manhattan, one says, perhaps referring to the gun holsters they sometimes wore on their hips and their all-camo outfits. Other times they wore Louis Vuitton monogram sets or bear fur vests or bulletproof vests adorned with military patches. All right. When someone like these guys comes in, everyone gets all excited, says a club promoter. These are the types of guys that nightlife is built on because no rational thinking person would do this on a regular basis. The party didn't stop when the two got home. Bowles and Duplessis transformed their 5-story townhouse they were staying in on Prince Street into an after-hours nightclub of their own, filling it with young employees from Brandy Melville around the corner. The parties were wild and sometimes unnerving. The host bragged about ties to intelligence agencies and showed off guns, knives, and cattle prods. The same security team that accompanied them to clubs, some of them off-duty NYPD officers, patrolled the house at all hours. This went on for months until one morning on the eve of Memorial Day weekend when a 28-year-old man dashed from the townhouse onto the sidewalk, barefoot and bleeding from his head. He staggered down the street and flagged a traffic cop. He'd just escaped from a nightmare, he claimed, in a tilting Italian accent. Two crypto investors had held him captive and tortured him for weeks for the passwords to his cryptocurrency accounts. The man, Michael Carterin, was taken to a hospital. Police soon arrested his alleged captors, Duplessis and Wolves. Actually, I think we covered this on the show once, but this was, I believe, like months ago. So I think probably more information on this now. But all right, let's keep going. Here's the last page. And it says, William Duplessis grew up in Greenwich next door to the hedge fund billionaire Ray Dalio. Okay, so it's a hedge fund billionaire. His father, James, was an investment manager specializing in distressed debt. His mother, Eve, was a social worker. They had 4 children, but divorced when they were still young. James moved to a condo in Soho, and Eve stayed in Connecticut. Will, their eldest child, appeared to possess all the privilege and pedigree that would guarantee future success. He was handsome and charming with straight white teeth, a chiseled jaw, and an enviable physique, not just tall, but strong and hulking. Duplessis supposedly stabbed a drug dealer his senior year in high school and was shipped off to work in a bike factory in China by his investment management father. He befriended billionaire art collector Peter Brandt's son at Tulane and started running Blow for Bloods. This is self-mythology. Oh, shit, man. This is long. We may actually have to come back on this. Actually, let's put a pin in this one. I didn't realize how fucking... Holy shit, this is meaty. So we're going to come back to this maybe on Monday. We'll continue off this. So we gave you a little bit of a teaser here. I don't want to spend... I'm just scrolled through this and realized how fucking dense this is. This is a lot. We'll come back to this probably on Monday or whenever I pick back up with the morning dump, because I do need to move on. So I'll go ahead and add that. Boom, morning stream. All right. So let's move on to the next one. This is wild, but I didn't realize how much we were biting off here. I only got maybe tops 20 more minutes left in this episode, and I do have other stuff I got to do. So let's move on. I mean, that already on its own is wild, and we have a ton more to go through. So that was a little bit of a teaser for, I guess, a future episode. All right, let's get into, I think, the last major topic of today. It's a long clip, but I think it's worthwhile. I don't think I have a ton of commentary really to give to this, but I think for those who are concerned about the current times, and especially if you're aware of end times eschatology and the current foreign policy situation and everything going on, this right here is more than enough for concern. So I'll go ahead and play it. Let's go ahead and watch this together.
Wars and on the dissident right media for the longest time, the Jew hate media. Yeah, do you have my tweet that I actually put on my... So I basically, what happened, if you want to go to the first slide first before we play the video, about a month ago on July 1st, there was an announcement that they were going to do a practice run of the red heifer. And prior to this, the media outrage that the Jews were going to go do this red heifer, you had these lunatics like Stu Peters and others who were saying, this is going to usher in the Antichrist, blah, blah, blah. And it was like a real big media balagan. It was really a bad twist. So they said that and also the government wasn't going to let them. So what they did was they said, we're just going to do a practice one with one of the 5 disqualified cows. The government said, okay, whatever. They ended up going out, doing a real cow. One of the cow's name was Tikva. They made the offering, and it was a real offering. They did it all by the laws, and I have with me some of the ashes right here, red heifer ashes, and it's pretty incredible. The red heifer, the last time that the red heifer was done was over 2,000 years ago. The first time it was done by Moses. The second time it was done by Ezra from the book in the Bible. And that shows you how long the ashes can last for. So a pure red heifer doesn't come about all the time. And in this generation, we had 21 of them that were born. Pure. They picked 7 to bring to Israel. And out of the 7, Israel only allowed them to have 5 brought in. And they've been sitting around just doing nothing because the media outrage has been so astronomical about it. But the red heifer people, they fooled everybody, and they successfully performed the ritual about a month ago. Now, in the ritual, you're supposed to have hyssop. I have also hyssop that is from the actual ritual, and also the red heifer ashes. And these get put into a clay jar and then sprinkled on people in a healing ritual. And it removes the impurity of death and allows for people to heal. So since this started, they have been sprinkling on people. There was a man with Alzheimer's who just started remembering everything, sight to the blind. There's some real miracles that have happened in the last month since this thing has gone down. But the ashes, just like I have a little bag, there was 10.5.
The hell? I did not mean to do that. I clicked somewhere and it is there.
Red heifer.
Anyways, you guys get the idea. We're not going to watch the whole video, but yeah, he's claiming there's miracles that come from this. For those who aren't aware, if you're not aware of the deep anti-Semitic lore here, although I say that tongue in cheek, because while I say that, they're literally this is another one of those situations. This is like maybe not quite to this degree, but this is reminiscent of like kind of the Jew tunnel stuff, where you're like, holy shit. Like, oh, crazy over-the-top Jewish what's typically considered anti-Semitic trope, and you're like, oh shit, and you're like, no, but it's real, and that's kind of fucking Jews fucking clamoring out of sewer grates. You're like, what? Like, is this some sort of like AI anti-Semitic prompt? Like, what is this? And here's another such example, and it's a guy, I believe this is the one called Awesome Jew, which, I mean, I'll be honest, you call yourself awesome anything, and I kind of doubt your awesomeness. But anyways, and then let's be real, he kind of has the physiognomy on point. In, like, not even a bad way. I don't even mean that, like, shitty way. It's almost as if they took, like, the Grabbler, and they were like, but make him kind of handsome. Like, and I'm not even saying this guy is, like, literally handsome or anything, but he has weirdly all the like physiognomy Jew features. Like, he even has the hook nose if you catch him a little bit on the side. But at the same time, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just his hair. Well, he has a slight. You kind of shifted a little bit more the handsome side of things. So like it's almost as if they were trying to make a Studley, with the happy merchant or whatever. Like there's slightly Studley. Not saying he is a stud, but more handsome. He's not grotesque. He's like a handsome version. A slightly handsome version of the over-the-top, conception of Jewish physiognomy is what he is. So point being is it's like a little over the top, and then he's literally got like, oh yeah, here's red heifer ashes. We tricked you. We lied to the world in order to accomplish the red heifer thing, which is another like, oh, let's be real, that adds the trope already. And for those, from my understanding, the whole red heifer ceremony essentially is like a purification ritual of sorts that essentially purifies the area, the land, some shit, and it enables them to rebuild the temple. Like that, essentially now there's like the purified and now it's ready for the temple to be rebuilt. Okay, well, for those who are aware of I forget what the specific religious site is, but that the whole rebuilding of the temple, well, that would constitute the destruction of major Muslim or like a Muslim religious, sites is what that would require. And it would also, which would essentially necessitate probably a war, a pretty big fucking war. And keep in mind, we have Iran. I mean, I haven't been covering as much lately, but the trickle behind the scenes has been for kind of a slow trickle for a while, that things are slowly reheating back up, or at least priming themselves to kick back off at any time. We got the Epstein stuff going on, obviously. And on top of that, then we also got what is, I don't know, a literal genocide occurring in Palestine, in Gaza. So, I mean, all of this, and then they're like, yep, guess what, guys? We did the whole, that whole temple thing where we're going to rebuild it. And then I think he even goes in there. We didn't watch the full thing, but he goes into how their Messiah will come. Because that's the interesting thing about these end times eschatology thing. It's weirdly, I don't know enough about Islam's end time beliefs, but I know their end time beliefs coincide with the Christians and the Judaism one as well. So I know they're thinking, the Jewish, understanding here is like, oh, we're bringing in our Messiah, which ironically for the Christians, that would be the Antichrist. That's going to be a false Messiah to them. For whoever the Moshiach is here that they bring in. So that will be, but that ushers in the end times. And for them, it means, oh, cool, we're all going to heaven now. So, but there's also all sorts of biblical destruction and craziness in there. So it's kind of very much apocalyptic type stuff. So we're literally here like, oh, hey guys, hey, one of the many rituals towards the apocalypse happened. So that's cool. Although I think from the Jews' perspective, we're like, no, it's all gravy, baby. Like whatever. Like we're about to get our big warrior Moshiach or whatever their expectation is. So anyway, it's just sketchy from a world situation from a larger perspective. Anyways, just throwing that out there, that they have, even from a religious perspective, they have primed the ground for their holy war they are currently conducting. So isn't that fun? All right, guys, let's roll through the chat, and then I think we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Appreciate you all joining me today. Boo. Yes, someone saying he's confirming the Jew hate media is correct, right? Yeah, it is weird to like frame this, all these Jew haters, and like, oh yeah, but guess what? We like lied to you all, and we're totally getting ready to build the next temple. Isn't that cool? You're like, what? No, that's not cool. If anyone who understands what that is, like, I mean, sure, you could maybe be like, okay, I get why religiously they want that, but I mean, unless you're Jewish and that's like your thing, why the fuck would you care? I mean, I get people like, oh, well, this is I'm pretty sure even then, like, a lot of people, religious people, even if you do believe this nonsensical end times eschatology, you're not supposed to attempt to bring it on. Although, let's be real, I think to some extent people see that, though, and they're like, oh, well, then I should just kind of let it happen or maybe even lean into it. That's kind of their perspective. So, anyways. Maybe bumping in Walmart was a mistake, says Michael. Boomer is mugging. All right, yeah, don't be engaging that sort of behavior in public. Taffy says the person who snorts that bag of red heifer powder will become Captain Israel. He's a handsome version of a Jewish guy. Gross, says Eddie. Yeah. Let me see. Captain Israel. I think there is actually some sort of like Captain Israel or some shit, if I recall correctly. And then John Doe says when the third temple is built, well, no, shit is going downhill fast. The staged end of times. 100%. I mean, although this is already another sign of, oh, fuck. Because let's be real, they're currently clearing out that area. So, I don't know. I only see things getting worse, and they're stepping up. Were bad now. They're literally getting worse because they're getting ready to move on Gaza City, which they've stated explicitly in many different ways, many different times. And they're literally stated they're intending on occupying all of Gaza and essentially clearing it out entirely. So, I mean, just saying it out loud. I don't know what I mean. But yeah, then we have these fucking idiots, these fucking retards just kind of, I don't know, to be fair, okay, I say this, I didn't watch the whole fucking thing, so I can't be too mad, but it's just like, come on, dude, what the fuck? Like, I don't know. I mean, I didn't watch this whole thing, so I'm kind of trying to, like, hedge it in, like, being like, well, I don't know what they said here, but, like, I think it's pretty fair to say this guy didn't get probably a whole lot of pushback. Which, like, I don't, whatever, it's just... Whatever. I don't even want to say about it. What the fuck? What the fuck? All right, guys, let's get on out of here. Appreciate everyone joining us today. For those who like what I'm doing over here, you can, if you want to help what I'm doing, if you want to grow the show, leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. You can also follow me on Tower Gang at Tower Gang Jose on Twitter. These are all methods to grow the show without having to chip in any money whatsoever. But if you do want to chip in money, I do appreciate it, and that's the best way to grow the show or to help the show. And you can do that over at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. At the lowest level is $2. That's where you get access to early episodes. And I do about 1 to 2 of those a week. Keep about 4 of those behind the paywall at any given time. I just knocked out part 3 of the Dutroth stuff recently. Did another Hopper live reading. Interviewed Kirk Lyons, who anyone who knows who that guy is, that's a big fucking deal. Really ties in Oklahoma City bombing, Waco, Ruby Ridge. The federal infiltration going on during that time, the white power movement, the militias, just a huge integral figure to all that stuff. So I had him on recently, so that'll be out probably in a week or 2. But if you're a patron, you get that earlier. You also get access to the ad-free RSS feed. You also get access to the Telegram. You get access to the pre-show and priority for the call-ins on me and Austin's weekly live call-in show, Already Dead, which goes out on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Sorry I wasn't there last week. Stuff got wild, but... the highest level is my sponsors, and I read them off every episode. It's a big thank you to them. I have my co-host, or my previous co-host, Entire Gang, at Learn to Toad, also at Abrogate D's, at COVRCK, at _InfantZeal, Tim Tuttle, at John Klebo, Will Bells, Delicious Blueberry Rabbit Eye Wine, big fan of the show, Torme, at Wayne Taculus, and not Masad. That, guys, we're going to get out of here. I love you all. It has been fun. I do have a fun little outro for you. It's a short one. This is Charlie Kirk at the time of the crucifixion. If he was alive when Jesus died, this is how Charlie Kirk would act. And with that, guys, we'll get on out of here. I'll see you guys soon. Love you all.
Israel has a right to defend itself.